Alright, the day is finally here. Oh my gosh, we're so excited, guys. We're so excited. Welcome to Eternal. This is Direwolf's new online collectible card game. It is an absolute masterpiece. I am so excited to start finally showing it off, and we're gonna essentially start jumping into games pretty much right away. Ooh, I could set up my camera, but I think I'll stay off that for now, and we'll set one up in just a bit. Okay, so let's talk about the game. Eternal is a collectible card game. It runs, you could say, somewhere in between Magic and Hearthstone in terms of complexity, and it's pretty fascinating and wonderful, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on a couple of games to sort of demonstrate how it works. We're going to do Gauntlet first, which is basically the recommended introduction mode. As we play Gauntlet, I'm going to explain the rules, and we're going to break it down and talk about how each game plays out, and talk about all the rules. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is the Gauntlet mode. This is an AI mode. There are 2 versus modes and 2 AI modes, and Gauntlet is the pre-constructed deck kind. So let's go ahead and set up a Gauntlet, and we're going to use one of the basic starter decks. I still have a couple of those left, even though I've actually been building a lot of these for some time. So here we go. Let's go ahead and run with the fire deck, because that's always a good place to start. Okay, there are 5 colors in Eternal. There's, or 5 factions, which are there's Fire, which is red, Justice, green, Time, which is yellow, Shadow, which is purple, and Primal, which is blue. And we're playing just a red deck, and we're going to go ahead and get into it now. Okay, so this is your starting hands of cards. In order to play these cards, you need to have a certain amount of sigils in your deck. Once you play these out, you get power for your faction, which is indicated by a number, and I need that much power to cast one particular card. So right now I have enough sigils to cast these 2 cards eventually, and that's a pretty good hand. If I redraw, I will always get 2 sigils in my hand, so that tends to be pretty useful when you're considering whether or not you want to redraw. For the moment, though, this hand looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and keep it. This is a nice aggressive deck, and we have some slow cards here, but they're going to be pretty good together, so we're going to stick to it. Alright, so there are 2 basic types of cards. There are units and spells. Units are anything that you can play out on the field. And first things first, let's go ahead and play out a Fire Sigil. Now, as you can see, playing out a Fire Sigil gives me 1 power right here, and I have a maximum power limit, and I keep that power for the rest of the game. So anytime that I want to spend power, I will always have at least that much. It also gives me 1 influence in that color, which is fire. So as you can see right here, I have 1 fire influence. Certain cards, like Obliterate here, require 2 fire influence, and same with General Azalea right here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and play it out. The computer's not waiting on me or anything, because he is a computer, so we're going to go ahead and set it up. Alright, Grenadin Drone. As you can see here, he has a cost in the top left, so he costs 1, and influence of 1 as well. He has 1 attack and 1 toughness, so the left number is attack and the right number is toughness. And then he finally has a summon ability, and summon abilities happen when you play out the card. So let's go ahead and set him down. And his summon ability summons a 1/1 Grenadin, which is very similar to what he is right now. As you can see, this one doesn't have any abilities, it's just a blank card. You could consider it a token, but you don't really need to. Alright, here we go. So, Primal Fury, I'm guessing is going to play a Primal Sigil. Yep, there we go. And has played a Cloud Snake Hatchling. Alright, so this is kind of tricky for me, because I am not in a situation where I can actually deal with this. I don't have the ability to take out the Cloud Snake Hatchling, and if these 2 should fight, the Cloud Snake Hatchling will not die, and also I will lose the drip. If I attack, I'll deal 1 damage to him, but that's not necessarily what we want to do. Okay, so when you attack, you declare attackers like this, once you press the attack button, the attackers try to attack the opponent's face. As you can see, we have health bars right here, 25 and 25. Reducing your opponent to 0 is the objective of the game. If I attack, however, my opponent can choose to block at least one of these, or just one of these, because he has one creature. If he does that, those two will fight, and then the other one will deal damage. So whichever one he blocks will die. As a result, I don't really want to attack this turn. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and wait out the turn. I'm going to put down another Fire Sigil, go up to 2 and 2 Influence, and end my turn. Hey, Zur, how's it going? Yeah, oh my gosh, the NDA is gone. It's so wonderful, eternal. I'm very excited. Okay, alright, so now we've got two options here. One of them is Rally, and the other one is Assembly Line. So, the option that I prefer right now is to spam down creatures. So we're going to go ahead and play Assembly Line. Now, Assembly Line is a spell, but it does create units. So once I play it, I'll get 3 more of those cute little Grenadin. And that's pretty adorable. All right. And pop them down. Oh my gosh, I'm pretty excited. Okay, my opponent's played his own spell. That was Wisdom of the Elders. Now that's a fast spell, which means that he has a couple of opportunities to play it during my turn, and at other opportunities that he wouldn't normally be able to play it. There aren't as many times, if you're a Magic player, there aren't as many times that you can use fast spells, because obviously you want the game to go relatively fast, but in general you can do it whenever something is blocking, you can do it at the end of your opponent's turn, and you can do it in response to somebody else playing a spell. So if you have a fast spell, then when somebody plays something, you can play something in response, which is a pretty cool series of interactions that you won't find in a game like Hearthstone. Alright, so we've got Rally. This is also a fast spell, and what we're going to do here is we're going to attack with all 5 of these, and we'll probably see a block, because that's a smart block, and the computer always makes the smart block even when it's not the smart block. Alright, so now in response, we can cast this fast spell. And that gives all of our units +2 for the turn, which is a pretty good swing. Not only do we wipe that Cloud Snake off the map, but we've also got our opponent down to 13 because red decks win. Alright, and there we go. We'll go ahead and set up on 4 power. And oh my gosh, yay, wonderfulness. Alright, so now we've got 4 of these Grenadin left, and looks like another Cloud Snake hatchling. Alright, it's time to talk about Obliterate. So Obliterate is a spell that deals 6 damage, but it also has a keyword ability. And as you can see, the keyword abilities show up on the left side of the card, so right here, but doesn't do it when I mouse over it. And whenever this one has the ability Overwhelm. If a unit or spell with Overwhelm kills a unit, it deals any extra damage to the enemy player. So this creature has 2 toughness, and I have 6 damage, but if I directly target this, then the damage will spill over to the player, and we'll do 2 and 4. And that's pretty magical, because we're trying to get the opponent to 0, so we'll go ahead and swing in. Oh, we got a chill. Alright, so that's a stun effect. This stops it from attacking or blocking next turn, and it should prevent it from blocking for, I think, 2 turns, actually. It depends on when you cast it, but in general, like, next turn it's not going to be able to attack or block, and if you were to attack this turn, then I would be in trouble. But he's not going to attack this turn, so I should be good. Alright, what I'm really looking for is that 6th Sigil. Yes, that's wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and put that down. And now we have General Azalea. Now General Azalea has Quick Draw, which isn't going to be too useful this time around, but it essentially means that when he deals combat damage, he doesn't trade with other units. If he kills a unit, then the blocker doesn't deal damage back. And as you can see, he also gives all of my other units +2, similar to that Rally effect, but permanent. And as a result, I have 9 power, so I get to swing in and get my face zapped with a Lightning Strike, and get my face zapped with another Lightning Strike, and I don't quite kill him. But that's okay, we've got more than enough to do the job next turn. So unless he plays something super cool, I'll go ahead and draw some cards. I'm not thinking that he's going to find answers. Alright, and now the stun effect ends. I've got 3 creatures on the board. Just for kicks, we're going to go ahead and play out Granite Acolyte. As you can see, it's got a summon. And this actually plays a type of attachment, which is actually the third type, which I did not talk about, called a weapon. So as you can see, Azalea now has an iron sword on him, and that gives him +2. I'll go ahead and swing in. And there we go, we're at -11. And that's the end of Primal Fury. Alright, so this is a Gauntlet run, and the way Gauntlet runs work is you start out with a small reward. Actually, you don't earn any reward for the first round. That's okay, but each time that you beat a boss, you get an extra reward that upgrades your current one. So first I'll get 1 bronze chest, then a second one, then a third one. Then my bronze chest will upgrade to silver chests until I have 3 of them. And it's not like a super sizable reward, but it's really great for getting those early common cards for people who want to practice the game and who want to essentially like start getting like all of the important cards early. The common and uncommon base in Eternal is actually really, really good, and it's a pretty good way to get started on deck building. You can accumulate those very fast through free-to-play, and that's magical. Alright, so we'll go ahead and set up this. Let's see here. This hand is not perfect, but I really like the Rakano Outlaw and the Piercing Shot, and Flashfire is going to be useful later on, so we'll probably stick with it. Alright, so Rakano Outlaw is going to be a pretty exciting card, but first things first, let's talk about Infiltrate. So that Yeti Spy has an ability called Infiltrate, which is the first time that it does damage directly to me, which is this little face icon here, it gets to do something. And in this case, the Infiltrate is draw a card. So if this creature damages me, then he gets to draw a card. Now, I don't want him to do that, and I'm not going to wait around to see if he has some kind of counter spell or like cool effect that buffs this Yeti Spy. So instead, I'm just going to use Temper, and this deals 1 damage, and the top unit or weapon of my deck gets +1/+1. There's a lot of things that interact with the top unit or weapon of your deck, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment when we play Rakano Outlaw. Here we go. Alright, knock it off the board. That's how red deck wins. Hey, how's it going, Neon Blonde? Oh my gosh. Eternal? We're so excited. This is pretty great. Okay. Alright, so now we've got a Lithrai Ranger. This is another Infiltrate creature, and this is a covert ops deck, so obviously he's doing a lot of infiltrates. I don't really want to trade my creature into this creature, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it with a Piercing Shot. And this is 2 damage and 2 damage. Pop, right to the face. Great way to get those small creatures off the board, and also it prevents that Lithrai Ranger from getting too big to handle. Unfortunately, he's got a second one, and he's got a Yeti Spy. Alright, so I have a cool solution to this, but it's going to take a turn to set up. Maybe even more than that. Alright, so I have to decide whether or not I want to trade the Rakano Outlaw into the Lithrai Ranger, but we will play it down. Now, Rakano Outlaw has an ability called War Cry, which is whenever it attacks, the top unit or weapon of my deck gets +1/+1. So even if I... Yeah, RIP NDA, it's pretty amazing. Oh, we're doing so great. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, so when this attacks, the top unit or weapon of your deck gets +1/+1, and that's super sweet. Not only is this pretty good for like just buffing the top card of your deck, but if you don't draw a unit or weapon in the top card and you keep attacking, you'll slowly build up your creature until it gets stronger and stronger. So for example, this Outland Sniper is normally a 2/2, but it got a +1/+1 from a Temper. And if I had drawn like a bunch of mana and also gotten some War Cries on it, it could be as big as like a 5/5, a 6/6, it could be huge. And that can be really useful with some other abilities that certain creatures have. I think this turn we're going to go ahead and just play out our Fire Sigil, make sure that we get our power topped off, and we'll end our turn. Alright, so I'm probably going to get double attacked here. Nope, just 1. And I think it's worth it to trade the Rakano Outlaw, even though I really want that War Cry, I really like that quick draw ability, but Outland Sniper is going to be doing more work for me, so we'll go ahead and just block it off. Alright, and they trade with each other. Quick Draw doesn't work on the defense, so that means that Lithrai Ranger and Rakano Outlaw traded. If Rakano Outlaw was attacking, however, then it would have killed the Ranger before the Ranger would have had a chance to kill it back. That's the power of Quick Draw. Guns, guns, guns. Alright, Outland Sniper is a pretty obvious choice here. His summon abilities deal 2 damage, and I can deal that to the player or the creature. And I'm just gonna pop that unit, and now it's down. Okay, cool. I am from North America. I'm in Oregon. And yeah, we're just phenomenally excited right now. Okay, so this is a dangerous card. This is Gorgon Fanatic, and its infiltrate is it sacrifices the Fanatic but draws 3 cards. That's a really powerful effect in Eternal, and if you let one of these through, it can often lose you the game. Fortunately, I'm in a pretty good situation to not have to worry about that. I have a lot of cheap blockers that are going to help out a lot. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to attack with Outland Sniper and see if he takes the bait. As suspected, he did not. But we will go ahead and play down an assembly line and a Grenadin drone, which summons another Grenadin. So now I've got 5 Grenadin to block with. And if I block with any 2 of them, then Gorgon Fanatic will take damage. And I can double block, so that's pretty useful. Alright, Execute kills an exhausted enemy. As you can see, units that attack have like a grayed out section for 1 turn where they're exhausted, and that means that they just can't block. So this creature is stunned, and Outland Sniper was exhausted. Alright, I think... This is a little tricky here. I want to attack with all 4, I think. And the computer... Normally I wouldn't do this because it's... because I really don't want that guy to not block. Like, if he doesn't block, then I don't get to rally and take out that Fanatic. But I've got Flash Fire right now, so if he does choose not to block, I can just Flash Fire the Gorgon Fanatic, so we'll be okay. And he does choose to block, so we'll go ahead and set off that rally. And there's 9 damage to the face. I've got another 5 in hand, so I'm looking pretty good. I do have to worry about his next top deck, but I think we're, by and large, in pretty good shape. Alright, so here's 4. And Flash Fire deals damage equal to my Fire Influence, which is this number right here. And so every time I lay down a Fire Sigil, it's going to get a little tougher. So even if he manages to get rid of these with something, I should be able to Flash Fire him and finish him off. Alright, Gorgon Fanatic isn't going to do it. Oh, but we do get Stone Scar Maul. Okay, so can we do this with Stone Scar Maul? The answer is yes. Okay, so Stone Scar Maul is a relic weapon. And weapons are essentially attachments, so they attach to specific things. In the case of relic weapons, the attachment attaches to me. So with Stone Scar Maul, I can attach this to myself. I now have 6 power and 3 armor. And if my armor is destroyed, which it will be by this Gorgon Fanatic, I will lose the weapon. So I'll go ahead and attack the Gorgon Fanatic. Right now I can't attack the opponent's face because the opponent has creatures on the ground. Relic weapons only work on creatures that are in front of you if there are creatures. If there are no creatures, then I can actually swing directly at the opponent's face. Go ahead and do that. And now we've got 4 unopposed Grenadin going in for the win. Yeah, press A plus rally. Always good times. So, there's some simple keyboard shortcuts in Eternal. If you press A, it will attack with all of your units. And that's a pretty good way to just, like, declare attacks with everything. So if you have a lot of creatures and you don't want to do the micromanaging, you can press A. I don't usually do that. Usually you can just click to pick the ones that you want to attack with. But pressing A can certainly be helpful in some situations. And the spacebar does everything that the button down here would normally do, so it's pretty useful to do that as well. Okay, so we have Oni Ronin and 2 Tempers. That's a pretty good start, especially since Oni Ronin is a really strong early card if you've got some removal in your hand. I don't have a lot of sigils here, and I really do want power, but I think by and large this looks like a fine hand, so we're going to keep it. Alright, my opponent's deck is Power of Fire, and I should have maybe looked at what he was running before I put down my money on Oni Ronin, because at the moment, he's pretty likely to have one of these, the Torch. And that'll probably kill my Oni Ronin pretty dead. But we'll go ahead and try it out. See what he's got. Pyre Adept. Pyre Adept is not a Torch, so we're going to be good. Alright, so he wants to leave blockers up because he doesn't want me to get this War Cry. Attacking and giving the top unit of my deck +1/+1 is really strong, and if I can do it multiple times, this card more than pays for itself. Oni Ronin can often pay for itself on a single attack, especially if it trades evenly with another creature. I have 2 Tempers here, so I'll give the top unit of my deck +1/+1, and then I'll do that again, and then I'll War Cry. And now whatever I draw on top of my deck will have +3/+3, so it's going to be insanely powerful for the cost in power. Yeah, this hand is, like, just magical. Alright, we've got another Torch, so we'll go ahead and torch his face off. And I didn't draw a unit or weapon, so I get to give my +3/+3 another +1. And now we're at +4. Play out that Fire Sigil, and we'll go ahead and see what happens. If he plays another creature with very low toughness, Outland Sniper is going to be pretty happy. Detonate is a basic card that you usually don't run. It's actually what you'd call set 0, so you don't even get it in packs, but it only deals damage to the enemy player. It's a strictly worse version of Torch. Alright, and we'll go ahead and attack with our Ronin. And now we're up to +5/+5 on whatever's on top of our deck. I could play out Outland Sniper here, but I don't think that I want to. I think since this deck is also in fire, he's going to have a lot of creatures with low toughness. Fire decks tend to be very aggressive and not have a lot of creatures that are high on value. So if I keep Outland Sniper, I can probably deal with another blocker later on. So we're going to stick with it. Alright, start my turn. Let's see if we can draw that unit. Oh my gosh. So this was a 5/5, but it's now a 10/10, and it's also just a really good card in general. So this card has an ability called Entomb, and Entomb is something that happens anytime this creature is sent to the Void, which is this little stack here, and where all of the cards that are destroyed go. So Worldpire Phoenix, when it gets sent to the Void, doesn't go to the Void, it comes back into my hand, and it increases in cost and also gets +2/+2. So it's just unkillable, and that's really, really strong right now. Especially since my opponent's running a deck that's going to have a lot of damaging spells. He's not going to be able to deal with this. In addition, Worldpire Phoenix is flying, which we can talk about if we play it. But the basics of flying are it can only be blocked by other creatures with flying. So it just wings right over anything that's not a problem. Alright, and there we go. We get to play this sucker out. Let's War Cry again. No response from the red deck. Awesome. Go ahead and play down our Worldpire Phoenix. Alright. So once we finish off this gauntlet, we'll get into ranked, and we'll start showing you what a real challenge looks like. These AIs do get successively more powerful, and I will probably have to play. I might actually get wrecked because I'm playing a very basic deck that's just one of the starter decks. But this is a pretty good start. Okay, we've got Obliterate here, so we'll go ahead and swing across for 10. If you get 8 or more power on a unit, you get a special animation that plays, and it's pretty magical. Here we go. Watch this. Ah, it's so satisfying. Okay, and then we'll just Obliterate for the remaining 6. See you later, Caleb. Alright. So that's the Power Fire deck. Next up, I don't even know. Let's find out. Alright, my opponent's running some kind of time deck. Students of Time. And we haven't seen time decks yet. So, as you can see, fire decks are pretty much about aggression. That's very important. Time decks tend to involve a lot of sort of slower cards, big creatures. They really like to be in the mid-range as far as most decks go. So they play a lot of spells that are pretty cost-efficient and really, really good. And they're not necessarily as fast, so it's best to try to rush them down rather than to value them out. This hand doesn't have a unit to play in it, so I'm not going to play anything until turn 4 if I keep it, so it's worth it to redraw. I will get 2 sigils, at least, if not more, and I also get a 1-drop, which is what I'm looking for. Alright, Initiative of the Sands. This card just gives him an extra maximum power, which is pretty sweet, And since I don't want him to have 3 power next turn, I'm just going to torch it right now. We don't need to worry about our Grenadin drone this turn. Alright, a Bold Adventurer. That would have been nice to have a torch for, but I feel like Initiative of the Sands is more important. We'll see. We'll play our Rakano Outlaw, but we're probably not going to want to attack with it. Ah, Voice of the Speaker. Good times. And a Seer's Companion. Alright, so we're pretty well blocked off here. And my opponent knows I'm out for blood. Okay, so Voice of the Speaker is giving his power cards, which are these cards right here, the sigils, Echo. And what Echo means is when you draw a card, you get an extra copy of it. So right now, he just played a card that drew him a Time Sigil from his deck. And instead of 1 Time Sigil, he got the Time Sigil in his deck and an extra copy of it. He's also playing some spells with Echo. So yeah, just a lot of spells. Echo cards are generally pretty inefficient, but you get a lot of value out of both copies. So for example, this is essentially like a 2 mana gain 6 because it's but he has to play it in installments. Echo decks are really neat. They're a lot of fun to play with. I think what we've got right now is looking pretty good. So we're going to use the Magma Javelin to get rid of the creature that's most in our way, which is the Bold Adventurer. And see, it's a 4/1, so I will get it destroyed no matter what I attack. But if I break this Bold Adventurer's face in, I'll take 2 damage, and 1 of that goes directly to my health. But now I can start attacking with Rakano Outlaw, which is what I want because Warcry is great. No blocks. My opponent knows that anything that he blocks will just die, so we're in pretty good shape here. Drink some water real quick. Okay. And now we have a Temper. That's not a bad card. I think we're going to save that for the moment, though. Yeah, there's no particular reason to play it right now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and play out the Grenadin drone. And this is Pyro Knight. So Pyro Knight has Overwhelm, which we've talked about a little bit. Leftover damage just spills over to the enemy player. But it's also got an ability called Ultimate, which is something that you can do only once. And once we play it out, we'll be able to use the Ultimate provided we have 5 power. And we don't have 5 power at the moment, so we can't do anything with it yet. But if we use the Ultimate ability, we're going to be able to give this +4/+4, so it'll be a 6/5 with Overwhelm. That's really quite powerful. Pyro Knight's a wonderful card for both the early and the middle game. So we don't really feel like attacking with these 1/1s yet. We're kind of waiting on a rally. So we're just going to attack with this guy, get that Warcry going. My opponent's at a significant life advantage because of Water of Life, but I have a better board position, and that's pretty important. Usually just gaining life isn't an effective strategy, especially if you're not like doing anything with that life. I do have to worry about a 7 power card that cares if he has 25 life or more, but I don't think that's going to happen this turn. Alright, so let's talk about why we save this Temper. Now, as you can see, I have Quick Draw on this Rakano Outlaw. And there is a better play here, but I'm actually going to do this instead because it's kind of fun. So, if I attack with Rakano Outlaw and it kills a blocking unit, the blocker doesn't deal damage back. So we're going to go ahead and attack with the 2/2. And it's pretty obvious what my opponent's going to do. He's going to block with this 2/3. So I'll deal the damage to him first, but because it doesn't kill the Adventurer, he gets to deal the damage back, and the Rakano Outlaw loses in that exchange. I only lose this. However, if I Temper to deal 1 damage to this creature, then choose to actually do the damage now, then the Rakano Outlaw wins the fight. It deals the damage first, the Quick Draw kills it, and the Bold Adventurer doesn't get to do damage back. So here we go. And everything works out magically. We're going to go ahead and leave our torch up for later. And let's see what we got going on now. Alright, he's still trying to hit me with that little owl. This creature has a Fate ability, which it actually doesn't do anything while it's on the board, but the instant he drew it, he got to look at the top card of my deck. And I didn't even get to see that. He just did it. So, you know, it's a really interesting little spy creature. It's pretty fantastic for that kind of stuff. Alright, let's go ahead and start our turn. Okay, and those war cries are really paying off. Our 2/1 Oni Ronin is now a 6/5 for 1, which, you know, is a pretty efficient costing for a unit. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that torch to burn this sucker. And now I don't have any opposition on the opposing side, so we'll go ahead and attack with everything. And we can get one of these drones blocked, but by and large, this is looking pretty good for me. We'll go ahead and play down that Oni Ronin. And every time we attack, we're gaining value because we're making the cards on top of our deck stronger. That's really important. And now we've got 5 power. Dustuff Brawler is a pretty neat choice, but I really have no reason to play him. I'm in a winning position already. And even better, I can just use the ultimate on this Pyro Knight and make it into a 6/5. I can't do that again unless the card does something to change zones. So if it dies and then I somehow bring it back, I could use the ultimate again. But otherwise, it's stuck as a 6/5 and it'll stay. However, if I did manage to like kill it and bring it back, and then I use the ultimate again, it would go from a 6/5 to a 10/9, which is something really sweet about Eternal. Eternal remembers cards and when they're in your void, and any changes that are made to the card stay when it dies, when it goes back into your hand, when it goes into your deck. Anything that happens that like to the card, it stays the way it is. So if you modify it, it always is going to be a 6/5. Alright, here we go. We'll swing in. We're probably going to get blocked once. And just laying the beat down. I don't think Students of Time is going to recover from this. He might have a big creature of some kind, but it's unlikely. Okay, we got that Magma Javelin. It's been buffed because it's a weapon, so like the War Cries gave it another +3/+3. So we'll go ahead and take that Owl out just to add insult to injury, and swing in for the rest. That's the end of Students of Time. Okay, and those clicking noises you hear are me clicking super rapidly because I am an FPS player and I like to click on things a lot. Alright, we have 3 bronze chests, and now we can start looking at upgrading them to silver. Ah! Okay, Oni Ronin, Magma Jav, and a Rally. This is not a great hand. If I lose the Oni Ronin to Spellstorm, and I very well might because the deck is called Spellstorm, then I'm not really going to get a lot of value out of this. It's got a pretty good curve, which makes me tempted to keep it, especially since Magma Javelin at 4, and I'm obviously going to be able to pay for every card in it. But Rally's not super useful to me early on, so I think we're going to redraw here. This is a much worse hand. I don't have anything that I can play early, and a fire deck that can't play stuff early is in trouble. But we do have Rakano Outlaw, so hopefully things go okay. Alright, Eastwind Herald reduces the cost of the top spell of his deck by 1 when it's summoned. We'll go ahead and lay down a Rakano Outlaw. Pyro Knight's not going to do me a lot of good with this on the board because it is a 1/3. But if it starts attacking, then we'll probably be fine. Okay, so this spell gives him something called an Aegis. And an Aegis essentially protects him from one enemy spell of any kind, or effect. So, for example, if I were to try to shoot him with Flashfire right now, this would pop the shield, and the shield would break, but I wouldn't do any damage to him. That's pretty good against me, because obviously I want to be Flashfiring my opponent in the face, but since I can't, my life is sad. Alright. He's already torched me once. If he torches me again, I'm in a lot of trouble, but it looks like I'm okay. What I'm trying to do is get to 5 power so that I can get this Pyro Knight up to a 6/5. Once that happens, it should be pretty hard to kill for Spellstorm. Alright, we'll go ahead and play out Assembly Line. The big worry here is if he has some sort of board clear. There's a card called Lightning Storm that I'm very worried about. But we'll see if he plays it. Alright, Caleb's Favor. He's played both a Caleb's Favor and a Island's Favor. These cards are part of a cycle, so there's one in each color, and they each do something special while also getting you a sigil from your deck. So Island's Favor is an Aegis, Caleb's Favor is 2 damage to the enemy player. These cards are actually pretty good. They're quite strong in most decks, and I recommend that you play them, especially like when you're starting out. Some of them are better than others. Caleb's Favor is mostly just okay in red decks, and the best of them is one called Vara's Favor, which we'll talk about, I guess, when we get to it. Okay, so now we've got 5, and I've got 2 options here. One is to attack and use Rampage, but I think the better option is to go ahead and trigger that ultimate right now and swing in with the Pyro Knight. And there we go, 6 damage. Okay. So something we talk about a lot when we talk about card games is the clock. And the basic idea of the clock is that there's a clock that's ticking down your life total. So whenever we are looking at the board, we talk about it in terms of the clock. So like right now, I have my opponent on a better clock because I can do 6 damage to him a turn, and he can only do 1 to me. So I am definitely in a winning position at the moment, especially if I continue to play like this. Rampage is really good here for these Grenadin, but I actually think I just want to keep attacking with the 6/5, because I've got a couple of other options for dealing with this Eastwind Herald, and I kind of want to play down Rebel Sharpshooter. Rebel Sharpshooter. Okay, I need to get some water after this round. Okay, Piercing Shot. He's picking off my Grenadin 1 by 1, but I really don't care about the Grenadin all that much. It only cost me 1 card, and he's already spent 2 cards trying to get rid of them. He needs to spend another card to get rid of the 3rd one, so like that's all peachy keen for me. Okay, we'll attack with these 2 units, and we're attacking first. We get to play units both before and after attacks if we choose to, so it's better to go ahead and attack before we play stuff most of the time, because that gives us a couple more options. It allows us to sort of see where the board is at the end of the turn, and then play cards accordingly. We'll go ahead and play down a Dusthoof Brawler. That card has Overwhelm, and once again can just like splash over leftover damage and knock people in the face. Alright, there's no way my opponent survives this position. So Flashfire doesn't do anything because my opponent has that Aegis. In fact, let's go ahead and demonstrate what an Aegis does real quick. Or should we? Can we win if we do that? Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Alright, so this is not the optimal strategy, but I just want to show off an Aegis. So as you can see, just torch it, and poof, nothing happens, but he doesn't have a shield anymore. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and swing in, and he might have some cool response, but I think by and large we're going to be good. Yeah, there's 6 damage. We'll Rampage this one so it'll get a Quick Draw and Overwhelm, and just rock that enemy foe. Oh, that's so good. Alright, let's grab some water real quick, and we'll be right back, folks. Alright, here we go. Second to last battle. My opponent's running something with a Bandit Queen in it, which means that it's fairly likely to be a purple-red deck or Shadow Fire. This hand looks kind of sweet just because it has 2 torches in it, but I'm not going to be able to do anything cool with it, so I think we'll go ahead and ditch it for something else. This hand is awful. There's almost nothing I can do with this hand. We'd like to get some sort of 1-drop or 2-drop before we play Granite Acolyte, but we could just cold play it if... Nothing else happens. I will try to fix you. Hey, how's it going, Dae-young? We are playing Eternal. Eternal has just gone on a soft NDA lift, and I am really excited about it. Alright, here we go. Let's play our Granite Acolyte down. Now, Granite Acolyte plays a sword on any unit, but it can play the sword on itself. So we'll go ahead and make sure that it makes himself a sweet sword, and now we have a 4/1 to block with. And that's fairly important, because we don't want this Crown Watch Deserter to Warcry more than once. Boop. Alright, my opponent's in 3 colors. Fire, Justice, and Shadow. So that's not, like, great news for me. But I do have a decent amount of stuff here that I can deal with him with. So we're just going to be, like, trading in bad creatures and trying to get a slightly better board position. Hopefully he'll stop playing good creatures. That would be kind of nice. Okay, he's got a relic weapon, and this one gives him lifesteal for the turn, so he's going to get a little extra life out of it as well. That's not like my idea of a good time. Oh, but this card right here, Outland Sniper, is going to be amazing for me. So first things first, I get to deal 2 damage. But then I've also got this 2/2 body, so I'm trading 2 cards for 1, and I'm really good. Yeah, this is really going to be a good swing for me. This is finally me clawing my way back onto the board. Okay, that's a scary card. I think we're going to play down Oni Quartermaster and Oni Ronin. Oni Quartermaster has an ability where if I play a weapon, I draw a card, but I don't have any weapons right now, so it might not be all that useful. However, I think I do want to just block everything at the moment, so we might just use this as a chump. Alright, he's swinging with both of them. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to play it safe, or safe-ish anyways, and just block everything. And I can double block here. So all the units do damage to each other, and that wipes the board. And this is a good position for me to have wiped the board in, because I've still got 5 cards to play. However, I do need to draw that last power, or else I'm not going to be able to play any of them. Oh gosh, General Azalea. Yeah, I didn't want you to have that card. Okay, I need a sigil right now. Oh, thank God. Okay, so General Azalea needs to be dealt with right now. I can't survive if I don't kill him, so we're going to go ahead and play that Flashfire and knock him out. And now I'm only taking 2 damage from the Obsidian Golem. Now, Obsidian Golem is a really strong card. It's a multi-faction card, meaning it's both fire and shadow. As you can see, he needs 1 red and 1 purple to play it. But when it dies, he gets a +2/+2 weapon that he can equip on his creatures, and that's a pretty good deal for him. We'll go ahead and play down the Dusthoof Brawler. And now we've got a sweet blocker. My opponent's got a flyer, so this creature can just go straight over my head, but it can also block if it wants to. Not that he'd ever want to. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to attack first, see if my opponent does something silly. Looks like no. And then I'm going to go ahead and... let's see here. I think I'm more worried about the Warcry than the extra damage, so I'm going to go ahead and Piercing Shot this sucker. Alright, and that's 2 damage, and I'm going to take 2 this turn. Unless he decides to, you know, keep a blocker. Oh god. Smuggler Stash. That's brutal. He gets a weapon back, and he gets 2 units. 3 cards for 1, not a bad deal. Okay, but I do have a slight response here. So he's going to attack my creature for 3, but if I give it Rampage, it gets +1 toughness and will survive the attack. Not only that, but it also gets the +3 attack, so it's going to deal 8 damage to his face. Which is a pretty surprising combat trick. There you go. Yeah, break the weapon, deal some damage, everything's pretty happy. Alright, so we'll play down Azalea. That gives us the 7 attack on the offense. And we're looking pretty close to a victory now. He's still got a lot of creatures that he can play out, which is not good for me. And he's gonna swing for 4. Man. How do I want to deal with this? 7, 6. No blocks. I think we're going to let this pass, and this is getting to be a pretty tense game, but I have a single thing that I can do that's going to be pretty effective here. I'm going to swing in. Okay, and he blocked there, see? So I've got 6 at his face, and then I've got 7 that's going to get blocked by 4, so there's another 3. That means I'm dealing 9 to his face and 7 to his Azaleo. But if I rally right here, now I'm doing 8 to his face, and we kill him just before we die. Hey, Yogers, how's it going? Oh my gosh, yeah, some Eternal is finally happening. We're super excited about it. And finally, we have our last opponent in the cycle. Does he have an ability? Sometimes the opponents have special abilities at the end of a thing. Yep, okay. So limitless possibilities. Whenever a unit is drawn, it gains a random skill. And this happens to both of us. Either of us can get something cool on one of our creatures whenever we draw that unit. And that's pretty cool. Like, this is this normally comes off a card called Crown of Possibilities, which is actually called something else now, Crown of Insight. But yeah, like, this will give a random skill to every unit that we draw, and that's a really good deal. So I want a hand full of units if I can get one. Well, World Pyre Phoenix is extremely strong in this matchup, and the Torch is very good, and I like the Rakano Outlaw. The rest of these cards aren't playable yet. Shogun of the Waits is going to be pretty problematic, but I think with the Torch and the Rakano Outlaw, this hand is worth keeping, and I really want the World Pyre Phoenix for specific reasons, so we'll keep it. Oh my gosh, we got Destiny! Okay, so there is a ability called Destiny, which is not naturally on any cards, but it can be given to you randomly, and when you draw a card with Destiny, you play the card directly onto the field for free, and then you draw a new card. And we just got that on Shogun of the Wastes, so life's looking pretty good. My opponent's got a 1-2 Overwhelm. Don't care about that at all. We'll go ahead and attack for 3. Alright, so what did our other stuff get? Our Rakano Outlaw got Endurance. Endurance is an ability that essentially says that this unit doesn't really get exhausted. After it's finished attacking, it exhausts for a second, but at the end of your turn, it readies again, and it can't be stunned at all, so Endurance creatures are always ready to block, and that's really important. The Torch here, I could torch this Cloud Snake Hatchling. I don't really think it's worth it, not since I've got like a 6 on the ground. I think the Torch could be better saved for something that might be more dangerous. Alright. Unblockable. That's a little scarier, but it's already unblockable because it's flying, so I'm not too worried about that. Alright, Oni Quartermaster has charge. That's not a bad deal. Go ahead and play down that Rakano Outlaw, and keep swinging in for 6. Oh, getting Destiny off of that roll. Oh, that's really good. It's I think it's a 1 in 15 chance. There are only 15 battle skills. Okay. So, new Stranger. Okay, now this is kind of cool. So my opponent has a creature with Echo, and when you draw a creature with Echo, you get a copy of it, right? So what happened here is my opponent drew a new Stranger. The Possibilities effect gave it Overwhelm. And then Echo copied the overwhelmed creature, which then essentially considered it another draw. Since the Echo copied it, it's got 2 skills, because it has the Overwhelm from the first copy, and it's got an Unblockable from the second copy. Or possibly the other way around. I won't know until he plays the other Stranger. But he's got another Stranger in his hand with only 1 of these skills. So, yeah, that's like a really cool thing you can do with the card that allows you to add battle skills. And oh my gosh, it's such a fun card. It's definitely worth playing. We might play some Glockroaches later, which is the deck that I most often use with Crown of Insight. Alright, so we'll go ahead and swing in here. And it looks like he's blocking, so he won't take 6 damage, which seems fine. I could torch it, but I don't really care all that much. I could have played Oni Quartermaster here and attacked with it, since it has charge and can attack the turn it's played. But unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention, so that's my mistake. Alright, this creature has Destiny. That's a pretty good draw for him, and he also just gets to stun my 3/3, so life isn't that great for me right now. I'm not going to be able to attack with this next turn, but I do get to torch that sucker right there. Alright, and as you can see, this other new stranger only has Overwhelm. We'll Piercing Shot the unblockable one. And we'll go ahead and swing in twice. And as you can see, the Endurance creature is readying at the end of every turn. In addition, this creature right here can't stun it. Like, it's not stunnable because it's got Endurance, so life's pretty grand there. Oh god, that's scary. Now that is a card that I really want to deal with as soon as possible. So I've got some odd choices to make here. I think I want to attack in. Yeah, I'm going to get some decent trades here, and I'm going to get rid of that 6/5 flyer. This isn't great for me because it leaves me without an easy way to win the game, but if I draw to 5 power, then I have a way to win the game anyway, so I want to stall out for as long as possible. So we're going to go ahead and swing in. Alright, and that was actually not what I was expecting there. Yeah, that's actually a much better block. Shoot. If I had one more power, I would be able to rally and save my creature, but I don't, so I've actually just skunked myself. That's a bummer. Alright. Well, we'll go ahead and deal 1 damage here. And we made a pretty serious play error. The computer is very smart about blocking. It knows what it needs to do, and it does it. So my big hope here is to draw a fire. Oh god. So Ambush does exactly what it says on the tin. He gets to play it to block an enemy attack. He can also do it at the end of turn, which just totally wrecks my day. And now he's got 12, 13 on the ground. Oh my gosh, that's the end of it for me. I draw in the last power, or if I properly used my abilities. Nope, okay. Oh, crushing defeat. Fine game, though. I would have won it if I had played just a little bit differently. I think. Yeah, I would have won it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and claim our chests. Alright, so bronze chests are pretty simple. They give you, like, you know, a couple of gold, 60 to 100, and a card, a common, which it can be a premium shiny type thing. But in general, it's just a common card. I have all the commons right now, so I'm not too excited about bronze chests. But early on, these bronze chests are great. They're going to give you a lot of cards that you can use. Silver chests give you, I believe, the gold and a uncommon or rare. Yeah, and it's a much higher amount of gold. So we'll go ahead and stick that out. In addition, chests can sometimes upgrade themselves. So a silver chest can have like a gold chest inside it, and that can be pretty useful. So both of these cards are uncommons, and they're cards that I have already, but as you can see, they can be pretty useful. So this one's unblockable, which is slightly better than flying, but by and large, I'm not really too fond of it. It's not particularly strong. It can be used with some other cards to give you some really interesting combos. Sauropod Wrangler is a really good card when you're playing like a big beast deck, because it makes all of your units with 5 attack or more cost 1 less. And Traveling Camel can be extremely annoying because it gains you 1 life every time that you draw a card, or 1 health, I believe the correct term is. And yeah, like if you use this in a control deck with a lot of draw cards, you can actually be surprisingly annoying. It's also not a bad body. 0/3 is pretty good for blocking like any type of aggro deck, and when it's gaining you life and blocking really small creatures, it can be surprisingly effective. This doesn't look like a good card at face, but it ends up being pretty solid in some control decks. Okay, that was Gauntlet. Let's take a quick moment to just sort of announce that we're streaming and such.